Welcome back, and we're starting with what appears cheery news as the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPCL, has been directed to, with immediate effect, commence the sale of crude oil to Dangote refinery and other local refineries in Naira. This directive, which was approved by the Federal Executive Council meeting, was disclosed by the Special Advisor to the President on Revenue, Mr. Zaccheaus Adedeji.
Effective immediately that NNPC gets engaged with local refineries, and we are starting that with Dangote refinery, that the sales of crude oil to Dangote refinery be denominated in Naira, and also the sales of refined product from Dangote refinery to marketer and distributors also should be conducted in Naira. You may be aware that we spend roughly 30 to 40% of our foreign exchange today on importation of PMS that we consume. And in monetary term, monthly, we spend roughly $660 million in this exercise. And if you annualize that, that one will give us $7.92 billion pressure that we have. With this approval today through FEC, led by Mr. President, this has reduced by minimum of 90%. As a pilot, the Council has approved that a settlement bank, which in this instance is Afri-Exim, should be the lead arranger. That will be the settlement bank, at least today, between NNPC and Dangote refinery.
Speaking there, Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Zaccheaus Adedeji. In the meantime, the National Assembly has applauded the signing of the bill into laws of the minimum wage. Speaking after the signing ceremony at the State House, the President of the Senate and the Majority Leader of the House hailed President Bola Tinubu, describing it as a great day for Nigerian workers.
This is minimum. This is not maximum. Any employer that has a capacity can pay as much as you want, but no Nigerian worker will offer services and be paid anything less than 70,000 from today. That is the implication of this act. It applies all over the nation. And we're excited that this is happening at a time like this through President Bola Tinubu, a man who cares for the Nigerian workers.
In addition to signing the Northeast Development Commission Act, the Northwest Development Commission Act, the Southeast Development Commission Act, this has never happened in Nigeria. So I think this movement from 30 to 70 and reducing the negotiation years is clear demonstration of a commitment to redirect, refocus, and reposition Nigeria for greatness. I think we commend.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, believes that there is no need for the planned nationwide protest, maintaining that most of the demands of the protesters are being addressed. The minister stated this while addressing State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja. Mr. Idris revealed that the council meeting deliberated on the protest and concluded that the issues are already being addressed.
The position of the Federal Executive Council is that most of the demands that the protesters are making are actually being addressed by the federal government. And therefore, it is the view of government that there is really no need for the protest again. Indeed, the president is already protesting on their behalf by doing those things that they want government to do. For example, the effort that government is making in ensuring that food is being made available. There is also rice that is being sold at about 50% of its cost. Centers have been created so that those who need this rice can go there and buy this rice at 40,000 naira. In the first instance, about 10 trucks are being made available to each of these states. Government has not pretended that these supplies are indeed enough, but these are necessary first steps that are being made.
Now, former governorship aspirant of the People's Democratic Party, PDP in Ogun State, Mr. Segun Shoumi, is asking the government of President Bola Tinubu not to stop the youths from staging a protest, as it is within their rights as citizens to do so. Mr. Shoumi explains that the government should rather engage and dialogue with them with a view to meeting some of their demands. He spoke on our political program, Politics Today.
The People's Democratic Party of Nigeria, the party that I proudly represent, is too responsible to join in this cacophony that creates the impression that, oh, young people don't have the constitutional right to protest. Yes, we recognize the right of people to protest. We respect the language and whatever it is that they are bringing to the table. We caution the federal government to be responsible, reasonable, and understand that one of the critical, legs of democracy is freedom of association, freedom of protest. And that, in fact, a test of their capacity to manage things will be how they handle this very serious situation that the country has found itself. I will not have anybody suggest that the PDP is responsible for it. We are not. We're not the ones calling people to protest. We're not the ones instigating anybody. We're not the ones fingering anybody. All we are saying to them is that, gentlemen in charge of the country today, the language to speak to young people when they are angry is a lot of begging, a lot of empathy, a lot of conciliatory conversation. You don't bully them. You manage the conversations by listening to what they're saying, coming up transparently to answer some of these queries. If they want a reduction in the price, do they not have a right to demand that? If they want, you meet them halfway. And if they say, no, they are faceless people that are engaging them, then exactly who are you planning for? So I think that, yes, the nation must be careful of fifth columnists. I hold that very sacrosanct, and also international conspirators who may want to destabilize our country. But then again, if they knew what they were doing in that villa, you would have to ask them, what do they think is the responsibility of the Nigerian Intelligence Agency?
And still on the planned protest, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Egbetokun, has invited human rights lawyer Ebun Olu Adegboruwa to a meeting in Abuja. The IGP's invitation follows Adegboruwa's letter to the police boss to provide police protection for protesters. The IGP, in his response letter dated July the 29th, 2024, directed senior police officers to attend to the request of the senior lawyer. Egbetokun's response was signed by his principal staff officer, CP Johnson Adinola. The protest against economic hardship, which is gaining traction on social media, has been scheduled to be held across all states of the Federation, as well as the nation's capital in August. Prices of goods and basic commodities have gone through the roof in the last months as Nigerians battle one of the country's worst inflation rates and economic crisis sparked by the government's twin policies of petrol subsidy removal and unification of the exchange rate. Now, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, says Nigerian youth should shun the planned nationwide protest to avoid anarchy. He stated this during a town hall with youth groups, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and other stakeholders in Buari Area Council. Mr. Wike says President Tinubu is doing all possible best to alleviate the suffering of Nigerians.
I don't want anybody to go out on the road. Will you go out on the road? Are you joining them for the protest? Are you joining them for the protest? So you want us to talk? You want us to talk? We must talk.
Away from the planned nationwide protest now, gunmen have killed 4 policemen and a POS operator in Irete community along Onitsha Road in Owerri, the Imo State capital. Reports say the gunmen attacked the policemen who were on stop and search duty in the area. The Imo State Police Public Relations Officer Henry Okoye confirmed the incident to Channels Television. According to him, the police have launched a manhunt for the gunmen with a view to bringing them to book. And now to other stories. The Nigeria Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, has suspended the 800% increase in navigational service charges and fees paid by airlines, which was announced last week. This was disclosed in a statement signed by the Public Affairs and Consumer Protection Director of NAMA, Mr. Abdullahi Musa. The suspension of the hike in navigation charge follows a directive from the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, who emphasized the need for further consultation before implementing any changes, highlighting the importance of being sensitive to the plight of Nigerians amid these economic challenges. Before now, the Airspace Agency planned to raise en route navigational charges from 2,000 and 6,000 naira to 18,000 and 54,000 naira per flight, just as it increased the extension of hours of service to airlines from 50,000 to 450,000 naira to enable it to recover the cost of diesel and other logistics during the period of extension. And outside our shores, thousands of Venezuelans have marched on the presidential palace in Caracas to protest against President Nicolas Maduro's claim of victory in the country's disputed election. Others posted pictures of the crowds on social media with captions including "Knock down the dictator" and "Everyone to Miraflores," where the palace is located. An armed military convoy has been sighted traveling to the presidential palace with soldiers in balaclavas standing on the back of the cars carrying large rifles. Tear gas was fired by police as protests erupted in the Venezuelan capital the day after Mr. Maduro claimed that he had won. The opposition has disputed Mr. Maduro's declaration of victory as fraudulent, saying its candidate Edmundo Gonzalez won convincingly with 73.2% of the vote. Opinion polls ahead of the election suggested a clear victory for the challengers. And now to sports. On a cheery note, Nigeria's D Tigers have started their Paris 2024 Olympic campaign on an impressive note, stunning world number 3 Australia in the women's basketball event of the Games. The Nigerian girls won the Monday basketball encounter 75-62 in the French city of Lille. After establishing a 13-point lead going into the third quarter, the Opaos managed to close the gap, but Okonkwo's crucial three-pointer with 4 minutes remaining reignited the D Tigers' confidence to help secure the win. Despite seeing their 13-point lead trimmed to 4 at the start of the fourth quarter, Okonkwo sank a crucial three-pointer with 4 minutes remaining, which reignited the team's confidence and allowed them to pull away from the Australians. And what a heartwarming getaway it was for the D Tigers and indeed for the entire nation. But what are your thoughts to the other big stories, from the minimum wage bill now signed into law to the letter by the Inspector General of Police inviting the Senior Advocate of Nigeria and Counsel to the Take It Back movement, and of course the directive to senior police officers to provide protection for the protesters?